Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, party people, we are rolling. It is Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I am Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 215 of Gridiron Grinder. We are going to kick things off with Name That Stadium like we always do. Then we're going to cover the news from this past week. After that, we'll give you guys our Week 17 power rankings and game picks. And last but not least, we'll close it off with our question of the week, which I gotta, come up with here on the fly tonight, James. My brain isn't working all that well today. So, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. It is a holiday week and shit's been going on. Like I've been kind of like had the scratchy throat. You said you weren't quite feeling up to snuff earlier, so I do have to look something up real quick because I don't remember. I forgot to look. Oh yeah,
Sure.
I remember now.
Oh, you were
But
checking where you were at last week?
yeah, yeah,
Getting a
because I was
step
gonna
ahead here. Yeah.
I was just going to take us on to name that stadium, which is,
Do it, man. Yeah.
as people can see, I'm traveling around different stadiums, host NFL games, kind of tie it in. Right now I'm kind of following the Lions around because I'm just like super stoked about their season.
Yeah.
But last week I was in Chicago for that game, and this week obviously I'm in San Francisco for those that are playing. But first person that plays guesses right gets an extra special shout out. I just told you where I was, so it's a gimme this week. But gets the extra special shout out. Bookmark it, play it back for all your friends, and we can just fucking play. God.
Yeah, just do it, guys. Come on. And if not, whatever, that's fine. It's just a part of the show that we're keeping alive because, I don't know, it just seemed like a good idea when we started doing things, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, that's Name That Stadium. I guess we'll just keep it flowing here. Let's talk about the news of this past week, man. What are you seeing that's sticking out?
So the first thing I see that sticks out is the Cleveland Browns, while they intend on apparently reports are they intend on keeping Watson next year. They restructured his contract, and added two more void years to it.
They need some flexibility in that quarterback room, huh?
So now instead of having two void years, it has four void years on it, which would allow the Browns to push out his any dead cap hit to 2030.
Yeah, that's fucked up. I
Um,
mean, my opinion is that the league should have never allowed this shit with the CBAs, and it totally fucking diminishes the whole point of having a salary cap, man. And if there was more strict rules like there used to be, they never would have signed that stupid fucking contract.
yeah, it's ridiculous what's going on there. But I'm looking at it. So I guess apparently they owe him 46 million in for 25 and 26, but he also
For
has
each,
like
right? For
for
each.
each year.
Yeah.
But his cap hit um, prior to the restructure for 25 and 26 was 73 million.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't read the article, but I did hear something about it that the team is trying to have some flexibility in terms of cap space because, like reading between the lines, which I think everybody gets, is that they're going to have to either bring back Jameis Winston or find another veteran quarterback, you know, pay some money to and try to have some options if they want to be competitive. Otherwise, you're talking about, you know, like, could you really just roll over and die for the next 2, 3, 4 years while you get him off the books? I mean, it's a
Mm-hmm.
disaster, man.
Yeah, it's crazy like how fucked they are and how terrible he's been for them, which makes them
Yeah.
even fucked more. Like
And he's been hurt a lot, but even when he's not hurt, he just sucks.
Yeah. No, he hasn't been playing. He definitely not playing like his first 3 seasons. He hasn't.
Yeah.
I think, that whole year where he didn't play kind of um fucked him over a little bit. And he has all the
I,
off the field shit that's going on that.
yeah. I would say my opinion is that year off didn't fuck him over. That year off was squandered by him. There are
Mhm.
players that they stay in great shape. They have, private trainers and coaches helping them to make sure that when they finally get back, it's like they never left off, or that they're even better because they've never stopped working on their game. It seems to me like he probably did the bare minimum that whole time, and now we're seeing, the fruits of his shitty labor.
Yeah, well, he had private trainers.
Yeah.
They were training the wrong muscle for him, but
Yes,
sorry, bad
James.
joke.
I know what you're getting at there, my man. Yeah. All right. What else we got in the news?
So I'm gonna get this out of the way early because we still have a
Sad
couple more
stuff.
pieces of news. Um, Greg Gumbel apparently died today of cancer at 78. It's great. I mean, he CBS Sports did games, did a lot of in
I
the
liked him, man. Yeah.
yeah. I liked him. Unfortunately, he died. I mean, I thought he was a great broadcaster, but um,
He was, like a true professional kind of guy, right?
mhm.
Like sometimes you get like these, the former players or, like pop culture people that get like pulled into it, and they always try to have like so much more flair and, intensity that sometimes it just rubs me the wrong way. But, you know, Gumbel was always like a true, almost just like a straight reporter kind of guy, and I think
Yeah,
probably shows that I'm getting older because I appreciate that kind of style so much more, man.
yeah, no, exactly. It it does indicate you're getting older. It indicates I'm getting older too because like I just want to go back to that
Yeah.
and not this bullshit that
Yeah, I'm fine with like
um
the Chris Berman, him doing his weird noises and stuff. And I like the John Madden, like, oh, boom, and this and that. But, some of these new guys, man, I don't know. They just, yep, I'm old, dude. I'm old. I'm not digging it.
yeah, no, I'm some shit or like predict I don't like this. What I don't like is is the like predicting the play or like I don't like drawing
Yeah,
on the telestrator while the play's going on. Like that just annoys the fuck out of me.
sure. Yeah.
Um,
Looks like Dobbins is coming back from injury this
yeah,
week.
Dobbins is supposed to come back.
Huge for the
In
Chargers, man.
huge for the Chargers. On the flip side, for the Eagles, looks like Hurts is out this
Yeah.
week
Yeah, and
with a
I mean,
concussion.
so they're playing the Cowboys. CD Lamb is now out for the season, which is just,
I
this week
missed
and
that
next
one.
week. Yeah, so his shoulder thing, I heard they put him on IR. Um, so I think the Eagles, when you look at how well Pickett did for them last week, you can say, okay, they still got a shot of beating the Cowboys. But I think they still have like a low percent chance of hypothetically getting that number one pick in that number one seed in the NFC. So it does hurt that Hurts is going to be out.
Hmm. It does. Like they they have slim hopes of getting the
Yeah, I
number
think I
one
saw
seed in
something
the
like it's
NFC.
4% or something for them. Is their
So
chance of getting number one?
I was looking at. I think I sent it to you. Like
Mm.
there's there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 32 potential scenarios for the number one pick based on the games because you have Dallas and Philly, Philly and the Giants, and Minnesota and Detroit play the last week of the season. Of those 32 potential scenarios, one of them has Philadelphia with the number one seed.
Okay.
And that particular scenario is a strength of victory scenario where Philadelphia wins on strength of victory potentially as of this week. They could be closed out before this week ends.
Yeah.
So it's San Francisco beats Detroit, Green Bay beats Minnesota. Basically the Lions have to lose out.
Sure. Yeah.
And Philadelphia has to win out, and Green Bay has to beat Minnesota. Okay. And that's the only potential for Philadelphia to get the number one seed.
Yeah, I got you. All right, so yeah, keeping it going. In other injury news, I just saw too, Kenneth Walker was placed on injured reserve, which, I think he's a really good running back. I think they also have a great secondary back in Zach Charbonnet, and he's had a couple of really good weeks here now in Kenneth Walker's absence. And so, and it did make me wonder, James. It seemed to me like, these are two totally different style running backs than, what the Lions have in Gibbs and Montgomery. But it seems like they're not embracing the committee with these guys. It seems like they really have been letting Kenneth Walker all year kind of carry the bulk of the load when he's been healthy, and then they just kind of flip it over to Charbonnet when he's not. I would have thought that with how good both of them are, they would try to have closer to a 50-50, even if it was like a 60-40 kind of split with these guys.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing at running back. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, maybe it's a offensive coordinator issue where they're lacking some creativity, or I don't know, man. But it is what it is. Maybe they'll get there next year now that they're seeing Charbonnet really go off, right?
Possibly. Like I just, it's hard to say what they're doing. Like I haven't watched as much of Seattle probably. Yeah. I mean, I watched some of it, but it seemed it doesn't make sense. Maybe their style is just similar enough to where when they put the other one in, they want the change of pace in there versus.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Sorry, I just pulled it up and I'm looking at it. So like season to date, just looking at rushing, Walker's got 153 carries. Charbonnet's got 121. So on the surface, it doesn't seem like it's that spread out. But when you look at week by week, Charbonnet has 4 weeks with 15 or more carries, 1 week with 14 carries, and then 3 weeks with 15 or more carries. The rest of his weeks are like 4 carries, 6 carries, 2 carries, 2 carries, 2 carries. It's just he's getting the workload when Walker is out, but it's like, come on, man. Give the guy a little bit more, even when Walker's playing, because you're going to keep Walker healthy and you're going to keep Charbonnet healthy, and they're both very obviously effective. I don't know. I think they're lacking a little creativity in that offense.
Yeah, I mean they're still in the playoff picture though somehow. Barely in the playoff picture. Let me see. I had it somewhere. Like for them to make the playoffs, they need. I had it. I'm not seeing it. I guess they can't clinch it this week. It has to go into the last week of the season for them.
I mean, they got the win last night, 6-3, one of the worst games of the year probably, but And I have no problem with low scoring games. It just was a bad game. Like sometimes both teams play bad football, and it's, you know, whatever. But yeah, so there's a path for them. It just requires some things like you're saying, and whether you find it or not or whatever, who cares? It's all right. I mean, I care, but it doesn't. You don't have to do it this instant, right? So, um, and I guess while you're looking, if you're still looking, I'll touch on the Teddy Bridgewater news. So the Lions are bringing back Teddy B. He's coming out of retirement, and he's going to sign on for our playoff push. And I like it. The guy's a veteran quarterback with a lot of action under his belt. Away from the game to coach like his high school team. I think they won a state championship this year, and I think it's just a good insurance policy for Detroit. Regardless of what's going on with Hendon Hooker, which I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, this just goes to show that Hendon Hooker was a bad pick," and blah 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 blah. I don't think it's that cut and dry. I think that this
No.
is the Lions being smart, saying, "Hey, anything can happen. Let's just make sure we're hedging our bets no matter what happens, because this is a very valuable time for this organization, and we don't want to fucking mess it up if something goes wrong." So I like the move, and I still think that Hendon Hooker could develop and be a great quarterback, whether it's for us or someone else or whatever. It just a lot remains to be seen with that.
All right, so I found it. The Seahawks can only make the playoffs if they win the NFC West.
Okay.
And their path to winning the NFC West, the only way they can win the NFC West is if, theoretically, they could, depending on what happens with strength of victory, because if the Rams beat Arizona this week, there's no path for them, depending on strength of victory.
Okay.
Even if they beat the Rams the last week of the season, because they currently have, so they're currently one game behind the Rams. But if the Rams win against Arizona, and then it's going to go down to strength of victory if Seattle beats Chicago and the Rams.
Gotcha.
If Seattle beats Chicago like they did, and Arizona wins, and then Seattle beats the Rams, they'll win the division. So there's 4 outcomes, and 3 of the 4 right now, based on strength of victory, have the Rams winning the division.
Gotcha.
The only way for them not to, also caveat, depending on strength of victory and what happens, basically, if the Rams win and beat Arizona, and 4 of these teams lose, Washington, Minnesota, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Cleveland.
Okay.
If 4 of those teams lose and the Rams beat Arizona, Seattle can't win, or they're eliminated from the playoffs.
Gotcha.
Which is, I mean, it's all the machinations on this are fucking crazy. Like,
Oh, I know. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess playoff scenarios aside, is there anything left on the news that you want to hit?
I don't think so. I just want to glance.
Yeah, do your thing, man. I'm just looking around my kitchen while we're talking, thinking about all these Christmas decorations that I got to take down now.
Yeah, I think that was about it. Like, I mean, we could talk for days on right now all the playoff machinations that are there. Like, there's.
I say let's just give it another week and see what matters for week 18. because that's where it's all going to be, for the teams that are left on the fringe, that's, go big or go home time, right? So,
Yeah, like I said, there's 32 different scenarios for the number 3 and the number 4 seed. Like
yeah.
for in the NFC, basically it's the ones that matter is Washington can clinch. Basically, the simple ones. If Washington wins or Tampa Bay loses,
Okay.
Washington clinches the playoffs. If the Falcons will win the South, if they win and Tampa Bay loses, and
Okay.
the Eagles win or are lost by Washington, they clinch their division. 10 on the Rams a little bit. Denver, if Denver wins, they make the playoffs. If Chargers win, they make the playoffs. Or if the Colts and Miami lose this week, and the Chiefs already have the number 1 seed after Wednesday's game. Buffalo can get the number 2 seed if they win or if Baltimore loses.
Okay.
I think that's about it. Number 2 seed, yeah. So Baltimore's path is basically they need Buffalo to lose out, and Baltimore and Pittsburgh is another one where
that's a big one, yeah.
with Pittsburgh losing to Kansas City, so basically Pittsburgh wins the division. If
yeah,
they
Baltimore
have to
just
win,
crushed Houston, man. C.J. Stroud looked so bad in that game.
yeah, so Baltimore clinch or Pittsburgh can win the division if they win and Cleveland beats Baltimore. I think that's the only, yeah. And next week, but that's next week. Nothing can really be decided this week.
Okay.
Because there's only one game left for those two.
Yeah.
I mean, Pittsburgh needed to clinch it when they played Baltimore, and that was the key. I don't see Baltimore losing to Cleveland, but that's next week we can talk about it.
Yeah. Crazy shit happens. You never know, but looks like they're sticking with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, so it'd be quite the uphill battle.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, if you're good on the news, man, we can switch gears here and do some power rankings.
Yeah, I'm good. I'll kick it
man, you
off.
just froze on me. That was weird. You were like over here and it like froze, and then you were over here, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah.
I hate that when that happens. At the top, Buffalo and Detroit stayed the same. They both won. Buffalo just beat Detroit. They're going to stay 1-2. Then Kansas City moved up 1 spot to my number 3. Although I will say, after I watched part of the Pittsburgh game, and Kansas City is one of the fucking luckiest teams I've ever seen in the NFL. Did you see? Was it a punt that was muffed by Kansas City, but it was muffed, bounced off the back of another Kansas City player away from the Pittsburgh players right to another Kansas City player. It's like, seriously, how the fuck does that happen? But still, they won. And Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, who I had there, lost. So Kansas City moved up 1. Baltimore moved up 2 spots off the win at Pittsburgh against Pittsburgh. I mean, that was a big win. I mean, it was a 17-point win against a team that I thought was going to win the division. And then the Eagles dropped 2 spots after losing to Washington. I considered putting Washington at 5 and the Eagles down further, but when I actually look at it, I think Washington got really lucky in that game. If you watch the ebb and flow of the game on how it turned out, sure. I think there was a lot of luck involved for Washington. Without Hurts, it concerns me for Philadelphia, but yeah. I'm not ready to drop them.
Yeah, I'm good with that, man. All right, so on my side, yeah, I've still got Buffalo at 1. Then I've got Kansas City at 2. They didn't move. 3, I moved Detroit back up a spot. 4, I dropped Philly a spot, which, I think that game could have been different if Hurts ended up playing it out. I think he got hurt fairly early on, but um,
Yeah, I want to say it was like I
I thought
want
it
to
was
say
the
it was.
first quarter, man.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say first half,
Yeah,
but it might have been. Yeah, it was first quarter. It looks like it was like 6 minutes into the game.
yeah. And so, I mean, maybe it would have been better, maybe not. I don't know, but either way, it's okay. They're still in my top 5, and then I've got Green Bay at 5, and so back to you at 6, man.
But I hate you having Green Bay at 5. I just don't like that at
Well,
all.
I'm going to comment on some of that in this next chunk. But yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, so I had Pittsburgh at 6. I dropped them one spot and lost to Baltimore, partly because I wanted to get them behind Baltimore, but then when I looked at it, I had them ahead of Philadelphia, and they just lost to Philadelphia 2 weeks ago. They lost to Baltimore this past week, so I had to make sure both Baltimore and Philadelphia were ahead of Pittsburgh. Minnesota didn't change at 7. There's nowhere really for them to go. I think the teams I have ahead of them are better than Washington. Same thing. Nowhere up to go. Green Bay, nowhere to go. Even though they demolished New Orleans, man, those fuckers. And then the Chargers, I moved up 3 spots. They beat Denver. Part of it was I wanted to get them ahead of Denver. I wanted to get them ahead of Denver, and I think I didn't want to move Denver from where I had them
Sure.
based on how they're playing. So it just gave a 3 spot bump to the Chargers.
Hey, no biggie. All right, so at 6, I got the Vikings, and that means I've got 3 of my top 6 teams from the NFC North. Um, and I'll get through these next few, and then I'll just make some comments before I flip it back to you. So at 7, I got Baltimore. I moved them up 1 because I've got Pittsburgh at 8, and so I needed to do a little flipperooski there based on Baltimore beating Pittsburgh and whatnot. And so at 9, I've got Washington. I moved them up 1 spot. And then at 10, I've got Tampa Bay. I dropped them 1 spot. Tampa Bay's got me a little bit concerned about what's going on with them and where they're going. They have games where they look like one of the best teams out there, and then they have games where they just kind of look like something's off. And so that makes me nervous for them to be in my top 10 when I see that kind of inconsistency at times. But they do have a lot of fighting in them, and I do like them. It's just like I don't know. There's like a missing piece for them, and maybe it's just been all the injuries that they've had this year, and they still have a lot of guys out. Godwin's out for the year, obviously, and other stuff going on. But um, with the with the Baltimore pick, man, that's one I've been thinking about, and I think 7 is probably low for them, and so I'm going to have to look at what I do for them going into next week. But with the way Derrick Henry is running and the way Lamar has been playing, it's probably shame on me to have him outside of my top 5. And I think that would break up what I've been doing with the NFC North and giving them so much credit and maybe push some of those guys down a little bit. I'm still not like totally, you know, uh, like crazy about flipping Minnesota and Green Bay. Minnesota's obviously on like this freak fucking tear this year, but I think Green Bay is such a good, balanced team. Josh Jacobs has been great for them, and they're well coached, they're well disciplined, and so as long as I keep them close to each other, it's fine. But I think they for sure got to stay in the top 10 somewhere. But yeah, those are just a couple of my extended comments as we get through the top 10 here.
Yeah, and like for Green Bay, like they have 4 losses this year. The worst team they lost to record-wise is the Eagles. They lost twice to the
Yeah,
Lions, they lost once to the Eagles, and they lost once to Minnesota. So,
yeah,
so I mean, even if you double it because they played the Lions twice and lost to them twice, That's what, 4, 6, 9 losses total.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Minnesota thing, I think, that makes a point to where I probably should flip them. But I don't know what it is, man. I just still, I think maybe it's just because of my fucking hatred for Minnesota. I don't know. I mean, I hate them all, right? I hate all the NFC North teams except the Lions, but I don't know why I particularly hate Minnesota this year. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but I can't fault you for keeping Minnesota or putting Green Bay ahead of Minnesota because the loss was week 5 to Minnesota and it was 31-29.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, no, Love was playing in the game. I thought Love was hurt in that game, but it must have been the week
That might have been
after.
right when he was coming back from getting hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't fault you for it. I just don't like it because I like, this is going to sound weird. I like Minnesota slightly more than I like Green Bay.
That's all good, man. The heart wants what the heart wants.
So see the Minnesota game. Yeah, so that was Love's first game back from the injury because
Okay.
he was injured in week 1. I thought he came back for the Rams game, but he came back for the Minnesota game.
Gotcha. All right. Or give me 11 through 15, man.
All right, let me get back to that. I was just looking at that. So at 11, 12 stayed the same. Denver, Seattle. I considered flipping them. I considered moving Seattle up, but like with Seattle, my issue is they're just they've been so inconsistent.
Yeah.
And like they had a close game against Minnesota, but still it's like their inconsistency bugs me. And then like even, and I did this before last night. I know I didn't send it to you till today, but I had already had it completed going into last night's game. And like you look at last night's game, what was it? 9-6, 9-3, whatever the fuck it was.
6-3.
6-3, even
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck? 13, I have Tampa Bay. They lost to one of the shit teams, one of the teams that are out of the playoffs. It was a close game, so I didn't really slaughter them for it. And they're kind of still in with who Atlanta plays this week and who, like, their remaining games and Atlanta's remaining games, they're kind of in the driver's seat a little bit for the NFC South. So I left them in top 15 but only dropped them 3 spots. The Rams, I'm not going to move them up for beating the Jets. It was fucking 19-9, like another shitty ass game. And then Houston. If this is next week, I'm telling you, Houston is dropping down to like fucking 20 next week. I swear. After Christmas Day and that pathetic performance, where the fuck did their offense go? But I didn't drop them for losing to Kansas City.
All right. So I've got them at 13, and I will just ditto what you just said because I think it's like time to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, yeah, at 11, I've got the Chargers. I moved them up 1. Did a little flipperooski here to get them above Denver, who I've got at 12. I dropped them 1. Houston, 13, I just mentioned. 14, the Dolphins. They got locked in by the board here, no big deal. And then 15, Cincinnati. Somehow Cincinnati's still hanging out their playoff hopes alive. And so I guess I feel okay that they're still in my top 15, because there's only 19 still alive. So, but man, I don't know. I guess I would have thought they would have been out by now with how bad their year started and then how choppy it was even when it got better. But hey, there's still a chance.
Yeah, see if I have Cincinnati, Tampa Bay. I know I just saw it. Like there's a path-ish kind of to the playoffs for Cincinnati, but
yeah,
they need a lot to fucking happen. Denver, Chargers. All right. So if they lose, they're eliminated. Is that the only thing?
Just win, baby. Just win.
Yeah, like
I mean, we
they
kind of
can.
want them to win, right? Because Burrow's like the only person that can beat Mahomes. So
Yeah, like I think it's just.
in the playoffs, that is.
Yeah, I think it's just if they can continue to win, somehow somehow they stay in the playoffs.
Okay.
Like it's I don't have the specifics on it, but I see going into this past week, if they lost, they were eliminated from the playoffs. Um, Let's see if I can find it real quick. But so you did 15. So 16, I have the Dolphins. They beat San Francisco. I have San Francisco way down on the board, and I've been dogging them for a while, and they're just not getting any better. So I left the Dolphins at 16. Falcons, they beat the Giants, who I have in the shit, or who I have. Giants are one of the worst teams in the NFL. So yippee ki the Falcons beat the Giants. Then at 18, I moved the Colts up one spot. 19, I actually moved Cincinnati up one spot. It's kind of what happened with the board here. And then 20, also what happened with the board here. I moved the Cowboys up one spot.
Okay. Sorry, I was just making a note. Yeah, sorry, I just got to finish this. I'm trying to come up with our question of the week here on the fly. All right. Oh, sorry about that. All right, so you gave me 16 through 20. My 16 is the Rams. They didn't move. 17, the Seahawks. They didn't move. 18, the Falcons. I bumped them up two. Pretty crazy to see Penix right out of the gate having such a great game. 19, the Colts. I moved them up four. I kind of had to do that to get them into my still alive category. And then at 20, I dropped the 49ers two because now they are officially knocked out.
All right, so Cincinnati to make the playoffs, they have to win out, and Denver has to lose out
Okay.
to put the cap on that. And you mentioned Penix. So Penix had a decent game. He kind of got fucked by Kyle Pitts, thinking he could catch the ball with that
Kyle
interception.
Pitts has been so bad, man. God, man, such a disappointing high first round pick at tight end, you know?
Yeah. So I mean, he had a decent game. That interception was not his fault, and that's what bugs me. If I think statistically that should count as a fumble, not an interception.
Okay, see, I didn't see it, so I'm just,
So Pitts went out and like he got his hands on the ball and you couldn't get it, and he tipped it up in the air to the defender.
Yeah, it's like, hey, if you assist the defense in getting it, that's going to be a fumble on you, not the quarterback.
Yeah, and outside of that play, he was 18 for 27, 202 yards. I mean, it's kind of a ho-hum game against the Giants, who
they've had a good pass rush, but yeah, overall they're just flailing.
Right, but he wasn't sacked. He wasn't. Let me see. QB hits. He was hit twice.
Okay. And here's the thing, James. Atlanta's got a good offensive line. Now that like the Cousins thing is basically settled that he's going to be out, I can get on board and support Penix, right? It's my hatred was directed towards the organization for the way that they fouled up that whole fucking mess. And, with Cousins now going to greener pastures, it's like, okay, I do want to see Penix do good. It just was weird as fuck the way that they got from there to here.
No, I 100% agree with you. Like, it's it was kind of fucked how they got there. And and Cincinnati plays Denver this week.
Okay.
I didn't realize that. So Cincinnati needs to win out, and Denver needs to win out. So it's halfway there for both of those to happen if they beat Denver this week, and then Cincinnati has Pittsburgh next week, and Denver has Kansas City this week. So, and Pittsburgh could have their spot all wrapped up next week, just like Kansas City does. So, who knows what's going to happen?
Okay.
I hate that shit. All right, is that on to me? Are we at?
21 men.
21. All right. Just making sure. All right. So Carolina, I moved them up one spot. They beat Arizona. And they beat Arizona. I thought they played a good game. They've been playing better and better at this point, at the end of as the season, like towards the later stage of the season, or last few weeks. So, I gave them a little bit more props. Plus, I wanted to get Arizona behind them because they just beat Arizona, who I have at 22, dropped them 4 spots. 23, 24, 25, no change, all lost, nowhere to go down. That's Cleveland, the Saints, and the 49ers. I considered dropping the Saints a little bit, but really, where am I going to really drop them, especially seeing as though I have Green Bay in my top 10 and the Saints at 24.
Yeah, I got you. All right, that just it's making me question something here about my board here. I'm just okay. What the hell? All right, so you're through and you're waiting on me, and I know I'm dragging my feet here. Okay, no, I'm okay. I'm feeling okay about it. I just so I've got Arizona at 21, and when you were talking about Arizona and Carolina, I thought, should I have had those guys flipped on my board? Because usually when they get close enough to each other like this, I would try to make that flip because of the head-to-head. But I'm okay, with what I did here because Carolina's still at 7 wins. I mean, Arizona's still at 7 wins compared to Carolina at 4 wins, and so I'm still fine in my head keeping Arizona above them. So I've got Arizona at 21, who I dropped down 2 spots. I've got Dallas at 22. I dropped them down 1 spot despite the win because now they're in the knocked out category. New Orleans at 23. I would have loved to have dropped them down more, and I probably should have. But it was just such a shit show game, and I guess I have no expectations of them now because of their quarterback situation. And I kind of look at like all the teams from here on out where I'm like, there's no more expectations for any of these guys, so whatever.
Which reminds me, that was something in the news this week, and it's gonna might matter for our picks, but it's gonna matter for those playing in their fantasy championship game. Alvin Kamara has been ruled out this week.
Oh shit, yeah, and he's been having a really good year when he's been healthy this year. So
yeah, so he's ruled out, and also Olave may play. He's questionable. If I was,
he's had a weird year.
Yeah, well, he's been out like 6 weeks or something.
I know, but
he's been out 6 weeks because he had a concussion.
He's had this weird. Is he coming back? Is he not coming back? What's going out? It's like, I don't like it when the injuries are that ambiguous.
Yeah, well, he's been on injured reserve for 6 weeks.
Okay. So I don't know why I keep hearing that, is he coming back or what? But so either way, so good to know for the fantasy people. And then 24 here, James. I've got the Panthers. I moved them up 1. 25. I got the Bears. I dropped them down 1.
All right. So 26, no change. Jets. They lost to the Rams. Just left them at 26. New England Patriots. I moved them up 1. I moved them up. It had to do more with the fact that at 28, I have the Raiders, who just beat Jacksonville. So I had them close enough that I wanted to get Jacksonville behind the Raiders, who I have at 29. Moved the Patriots up 1, Raiders up 2, Jacksonville down 2, and then Tennessee down 1 spot to 30. after the
Okay.
loss to Indy.
All right. 26, I've got Cleveland. Didn't move them. 27, I got the Jets. Didn't move them. 28, I got the Raiders. I moved them up one, did another little flipperooski. That's been my theme this week because 29, I got the Jags. And then 30, I've got the Titans. So dumpster fire for you, my friend.
No change in my dumpster fire. What's this, 5th week in a row?
Yeah. Yeah, you've
Was
been holding strong
week
with the
14
Giants and the Bears.
week 14, Giants at 31, Bears at 32. Speaking of the Bears, they still have, like, they got rid of Eberflus, who couldn't manage the fucking clock.
Yeah.
And did you see the shit? Like, I want to say it was like just before the 2-minute warning, where the Bears, like, I read about it. I didn't watch the game last night, but so the Bears, and let me get to it because it's
Yeah, I missed a
weird.
lot of the game. I caught some of it on replay, but yeah, so I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So
And you got to remember, it's an interim coach, right? So he's going to make some mistakes. The probabilities are higher for an interim coach to make those mistakes than a veteran coach, right?
yeah, so it was. Yeah, so it was their last drive that ended up in an interception by Williams. So they had a penalty. It was they were going to go for it on 4th and 1, and then it was 4th and apparently 5. So that's how close it was. 4th and 1, 4th and 5. They put the punt team out there, and then called timeout after the penalty. So the clock's already stopped because the coach changed his mind.
Okay.
Um,
He got the willies, James.
but he changed his mind, and they ended up getting the 4th and 5. But it's just like if you have 3 timeouts, you have 3 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning, like.
Yeah, and when you're an interim guy, you probably need to be showing conviction with everything you do if you're going to audition for a permanent job, right?
Exactly. And I just didn't like what happened. And then on 3rd and 10, there was an incomplete pass, and he burned his second timeout, even though the clock was stopped, to discuss the 4th and 10 play, which Williams threw an interception on.
Gotcha.
It's just like, clock management and Chicago Bears this season, last season, those are like oxymorons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the good thing for them is they've got a ton of talent carrying over into next year. A young quarterback that should develop. Nobody knows. Nobody's got a crystal ball, but and he's had great moments, right? I think I saw in the game last night he's had like the record for the most pass attempts by a rookie without an interception. So, like he's got most consecutive pass attempts without an interception. So he's not thrown a lot of touchdowns recently, but he's also not turned the ball over much recently. So, I see you looking it up, but I'm just telling you what I saw from when I watched a little bit of the game, and maybe that broke last night, but either way, I think that the Bears have a lot of potential for the future. I think, like Poles was saying, it could be the most attractive opening in this cycle because of all the potential they have. And so, as a Lions fan, I got to keep an eye on it, obviously, because they could ascend at any time. So,
I guess you're right. I didn't realize that. I thought it was what's his face, CJ Stroud, but it wasn't. It was Kyler Murray.
Oh, before Caleb did it? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, USC to USC. Or Kyler Murray didn't go to USC. What the hell am I thinking? Oh, God, my brain is fried today.
Where the fuck did Kyler Murray play?
He went to Oklahoma, right?
Did he?
Oh, maybe my brain is super fried.
No, it was one of the Texas schools, I thought.
Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and then Oklahoma.
That's what
Yeah,
I was remembering. I was remembering
we kind
his.
of both had it right.
Yeah, I was gonna say A&M, but I guess I.
Yeah, he started at A&M. Yeah, because he was, I don't even know. Dude, my brain is. I'm just hanging in there. Okay, I'm hanging in there, James. I don't want to talk too much tonight because things aren't working right.
Oh no, that's fine. Anyways, I guess you're right. He did it in the Lions game. He didn't do it last night.
Okay. Well, it was just a continuation.
Yeah, like he needed 19 passes in the Lions game
Sure. Yeah, see,
to.
they just showed the, like they popped it up on the screen in the game last night that said X amount of completions or X amount of attempts without an interception. And it was like highlighted in yellow and it was like record among all rookie quarterbacks in NFL history or whatever. And I was like, oh, hey, whatever, good for him. So whatever. Back to the power rankings. If I didn't say it, mine did not change, James. I still have the Patriots and the Giants as my dumpster fire, which I was trying to go back. Looks like I put them in the dumpster fire in week 10. So we've both been pretty convicted about our dumpster fire. And the Giants are a thing that they're a team that even though they're in the dumpster fire, in fact, I'll say this about both of them. I'll say it about both of them. I believe that both, for my side, both the Patriots and the Giants have pieces to build upon. And so, um, I like what I've seen out of Drake May big time. I've liked
Mhm.
what I've seen a lot about Drake May big time. And then with the Giants, I do believe their defense could be a top five, top 10-ish defense. They just got to get some pieces on offense to be complementary to them.
Yeah, well, like Giants need a quarterback too, but
No, that's what I'm saying is they got to figure out the offense. I'm saying the
yeah.
defense, the defense has a lot of
Oh,
potential with Brian
I
Burns
I heard it
and Thibodeau
for
and
whatever fucking reason. I heard it the other way. And
oh,
so I thought you were saying
maybe I
offense.
said it the other way because my brain's not working right. But
Yeah.
I mean that they have a lot of potential on defense that's being wasted because the offense is just hanging them out to dry.
Well, yeah, I can give you that. I want to verify the percentages as we move on to
Sure.
because it's
I was looking at it earlier, man. We both got some fucking sweet fucking records rolling this year.
all right. So that was your dumpster fire to the game picks. I had a rough week last week. To be fair, I did take some shots in the dark, and we had
We thought a lot of these games were 50-50 games, right? So it was kind of tough.
yeah, and you got four more games than me, right? I got 8. You got 12. Gives me 65.83%, and gives you. There's no way that.
70 on the dot, dude.
Holy shit! It's 70 on the dot.
Yeah, I just
168 and 70 on the dot. Like
I
I wanted
just
to
so
verify
bad
that.
want to stay at 70 or higher to finish the season because that's just such a fucking crushing fucking win percentage, dude, for picking them.
Yeah. Um, we started off. Well, I started the week. The week started off on Christmas, and before kickoff, I fucking forgot to send you the message. I realized it was kickoff because I was distracted with Christmas shit, so I didn't send the fucking message. I was going to change to the Chiefs, but we both were on Pittsburgh.
No, we
You
both
know.
changed to the Chiefs.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, so maybe your percentage is off because I have you on the Chiefs. I texted you or I emailed you or whatever, Facebook messengered you saying
No,
that
no, no, no.
I was flipping
I'm
to
talking about
Kansas City and you agreed. You were like, I'm flipping
right,
to
right.
KC too.
That was the Texans game, but we didn't flip the Christmas Day game,
Sorry. Yeah, okay. I got you. Yeah, sorry. I'm okay.
which we both. I know we both wanted to flip it, but we just didn't formally do it because we talked about how if Mahomes is playing, that's going to be a completely different fucking story. We talked about this shit, and we just. I know I forgot to send you. I'm assuming you forgot to send me because we both forgot that we picked Pittsburgh in that game. But then,
Yeah, you're right. Damn, man. Yeah, I'm trying to look at it right. So yeah, you're right. We did it for the Houston game, but we didn't do it for this one. Wow. I can't. It's because we made the picks at the same time because we had to go the week ahead.
yeah.
See, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, how did we miss that? And that's why because we did the picks so far ahead of time. So
So what I'm saying is we both talked about it, and
yeah,
we both. I know we
yeah,
both meant to.
yeah.
So
It's all right. It's all right.
do you want to just leave it?
Yeah, we got to leave it, dude. I mean, we got rules that we got to follow, James. If we don't go by our rules, we're just fucking barbarians, my man. Nothing wrong with being a barbarian. Conan the Barbarian was pretty fucking badass, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Then we righted the ship with both being on Baltimore and then both being on Seattle. I'm so glad I didn't. Last night
Yeah.
or yesterday afternoon when I was looking at the game, I almost sent you a message switching the Bears. I'm like, no, I can't do it, and I didn't, thankfully.
We're back. We're rolling. So,
So
James, keep it going, my man.
as I was saying, I'm down 10. I need to make some moves. First game of the week, we have a Saturday afternoon affair, morning for me. I will not be partaking in watching this game. The Chargers at the Patriots.
Okay.
Man, Patriots.
They want to finish on a strong note because Gerard Mayo kind of like, they're saying he's going to be back minus like a collapse at the end of the year. Well, they're collapsing. So it's like, he's got the pressure to win, right? But, can they beat the Chargers? I don't see it.
I don't see it either. The Chargers
They're getting Dobbins back. They're
are
a
getting
totally
Dobbins
different team
back.
with Dobbins.
I wanted to look at the playoff implications of the game, and basically the Chargers need to win. Was it? Where is it? Okay. So if the Chargers win, they make the playoffs. The Chargers are going to want to wrap up the season
Yeah,
this week.
take the pressure off. Just get
Take
in
the
and,
pressure
and
off
be
because
good.
although they do play the Raiders the last game of the year,
Yeah, don't
um,
let the Raiders play upset on you.
Raiders have knocked them out of the playoffs before the last game of the year, a la
Oh
Brandon
yeah.
Staley calling timeout and the Raiders saying, well, we were content for the fucking tie and both of us making the playoffs. You know what? Fuck you. We're going to go for the field goal and win the game. I don't think the Chargers are going to leave it up to the Raiders game because the Raiders would love to knock them out of the fucking playoffs
Oh yeah.
again.
Oh yeah.
So I think the Chargers are going to be focused in on this game. I think the Chargers, especially if Dobbins is back, I don't see New England's defense being able to really stop the run game
Yeah.
of the Chargers, and I think the Chargers win the game.
Okay. I'm with you.
Then we have the Saturday late afternoon, early afternoon for me, the 9-6 Broncos at the 7-8 Bengals. It's simple for the Broncos. Win, you're in the playoffs. Bengals need to win out and have the Broncos lose out. You don't want to leave it up to a Kansas City game, which you can win the Kansas City game because Kansas City's probably going to be resting most of their players for most of the game. But also, Andy Reid would probably like to say fuck you to Sean Payton and knock them out of the playoffs. Again, same situation as the Broncos. You don't want to leave it up to the last game of the season. I think the Broncos are going to come out fighting. I want Cincinnati to make the playoffs, but I also secretly want Bo Nix to succeed in Denver.
There's nothing wrong with that, man.
So I'm going to go with the Broncos in that game. I think it could be a close game, like 28-21. Oh, fuck. 28-21, 27-24, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think the Broncos win.
Yeah. All right. So I'm taking Cincinnati here, and I'm with you in terms of like the wanting Bo Nix to win and that feel good story go on. For me, I want to see Denver get in the playoffs, and I want to see them upset somebody. And just that to me is like mission complete for Denver this year. It's like that's like the fucking cherry on top for Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. And then next year, everybody's taking them seriously as a fucking deep playoff threat. And but for this game, I'm taking the Bengals because you're saying there's a chance, James. And Joe Burrow in that number one passing game, they're just going to be fucking slinging it like goddamn crazy to try and get in. He's a huge fucking competitor, and it's going to be tough. Denver defense, they have been badass this year. But I am going to give the edge to Cincinnati at home. When I look at my power rankings, they're close. I got Denver at 12 and Cincinnati at 15. I would like it to maybe be a little closer than that to give Cincy the edge, but I'm doing it. I'm going Cincinnati.
All right. Then we have the Saturday evening game, which has some intrigue to it. You have the Rams. I'm sorry, the Cardinals at the Rams. The Cardinals, yes, they're eliminated from the playoffs. The only path for Seattle to make the playoffs is if the Rams lose to the Cardinals.
Yeah, and the Cardinals, I'm sure, want to play upset fucking whatever,
They want to play upset whatever.
Against a division rival.
And Kyler Murray has something to prove in this game because he's, let's be honest, he's struggled the last 5 weeks. 4 weeks. Last four games, week 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 5 games. He's struggled, and Cardinals have been playing kind of like shit. I mean, fuck, they just lost who did they lose this week? Was it Carolina?
Yeah.
With all that said, and how shitty the Cardinals have been playing, I'm going to go with the Cardinals in this game.
Oh, you're flipping. You're going against your Rams, man. That's weird.
Well,
you're down by 10. You got to take some chances. 2 weeks left.
It's just a gut feeling. I'm going to kick myself. I might kick myself after this weekend for one of the other games that I'm going to flip. But
it's all right. There's nothing wrong with it. And I'll tell you what, and I will support you even though I'm taking the Rams. And the support is when you look at the NFL.com stats, Arizona on paper looks like the better team. They're 13th on offense and 17th on defense. Those are like, fairly respectable stats, right? They're like pretty much, in the middle of the pack both ways. The Rams are 17th on offense and 23rd on defense. So they're in the bottom half both ways. The thing to me is that there's a couple different things going on with these storylines. And, the Rams had some injuries earlier in the year, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, whatever, that slowed down their offense. I think that the Rams are on a better trajectory since they got Nakua back specifically, and and it's at home for the Rams. They're still alive, so they want to keep it going, and so all that stuff. But I do believe Kyler wants to, close out on a high note. He did make a comment this past week about the connection with Harrison's just not been there like they need it to be. But I think that's a next year thing now, and so and I think it was a good year overall. It's just that they were expecting him to be like fucking all pro out of the gate, and that didn't happen. I don't think there's anything wrong with that not happening because that's an unreasonable expectation. So I'm taking the Rams.
All right. Then we are on to Sunday.
Sunday.
The Colts at the Giants. The Colts are still fighting for the playoffs. They still have a shot at the playoffs. I think, let me verify it, but I think going into this game, they'll be knocked out of the playoffs.
Okay.
Yes, because if the Chargers and if they have a chance to be knocked out of the playoffs because both the Chargers and Broncos play on Saturday, and if the Chargers and Broncos win, the Colts are knocked out of the playoffs. With that being said, there's nothing to say good about the Giants.
32nd on offense.
Pathetic on offense. Okay
Yeah.
on defense, but when your offense is as anemic as they are.
Yeah, they're 19th on defense. If they had like the 24th ranked offense, they would probably be a top 10 defense.
And the Colts are favored by 7.5 this season.
That's a big spread for the NFL.
Against teams with losing records this season. They are 6-1 outright and against the spread.
Okay.
Also, they have not been at least a touchdown favorite since week 1 of 2022.
Okay.
But I think the Colts win the game. I don't think they cover. If it closes at 7.5, there's no way in hell they cover that. But I think the Colts win the game. I just don't have faith in the Giants, who are trying to end a franchise record 10-game losing streak.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. No, I can't take the Giants. I've got the Colts still in contention in my power rankings, and I've got the Giants in my dumpster fire. The one thing we didn't talk about with the Giants earlier, but I know we talked about it earlier in the year, is that it does look like they found a feasible running back at least on offense, and so they do have a piece on offense. They just need to get like 5 more pieces, and then we can talk about them positively next year. So I'm taking the Colts here.
But also a little side note on this game. Let me verify this real quick. The Giants are currently come on. Fucking work, you piece of shit.
Yeah, my internet's going super slow right now, dude.
The Giants are currently 0-8 at home.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
They can.
They're firing Dable. It's happening, dude.
They can become the first team in NFL history to finish 0-9 at home.
Oh man. I feel bad.
I feel
like
bad.
Dable, but he's gone. No way do you let him stay after that.
No. All right. So then we have the Jets 4-1, or sorry, 4-1, 4-11. I dropped a 1 at the 12-3 Bills. One of the things The Bills win, they get the number 2 seed. They can rest their players next week against New England. Bills are, since 2020, they are 23-5 in division games, which is the second best record in that span, since the Chiefs are 24-5 in division games since 2020. The Jets in that span are 5-23 in division games.
Okay.
I think the only thing that's intriguing about this game is Aaron Rodgers is one touchdown pass short of his 500th career touchdown.
Oh, geez. All right.
It's the only intriguing thing about this
Yeah.
game. I don't know what I was smoking when I did my picks. I think I misread the team they were playing or something.
Well, you're welcome to change it.
And sent it to you. I'm on the Bills.
Okay. Flipping you the Bills.
Like, I can't pick the Jets to win. Like, that's just.
No, and I'm not even looking at the NFL.com stats here. To me, it's just such disparity. I've got the Bills in like my bottom 5-ish area, and I've got the Jets in my bottom 5-ish area, and I got the Bills in my top 5. I got the Bills at number 1. So it would just be fucking weird as shit, especially with being in Buffalo if I flipped. If it was next week and we were saying, oh, well, Buffalo's going to just bench everybody, well, then you could do whatever the fuck you want, right? But we're not there yet, so I got to go Buffalo.
All right, and then we have probably the worst game of the week. The 3-12 Titans at the 3-12 Jaguars.
Oh, my gosh.
I keep going back and forth on this game. Keep going back and forth.
Well, if it helps you, I can start. I'm taking Jacksonville because the system I've been using all year is pretty simple. If they're close in my power rankings, I take the home team. In this case, it's Jacksonville, and they are close in my board. They're both very shitty at the bottom of my board. But you know, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I thought, okay, maybe the Jags have a little bit of hope with Mac Jones because he looked okay.
Wait. I'm calling. Oh, I was looking at the Colts. I was like, wait a minute.
No, we're talking Titans Jags. And then, Mac Jones looked like shit.
I looked at the power rankings because I was going back to that, and so I look at the Colts and then look at the Jags, not the Titans and the Jags. I got confused in my head. I mean, 3 shitty teams, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, I hear you, man. I hear you. But yeah, so like, I got a little bit excited about the Jags with Mac Jones because he showed a flash very early when he took over for Trevor Lawrence, and then he, pretty much immediately reverted to Mac Jones, and so I'm not thrilled that I'm taking Jacksonville, but I'm taking Jacksonville because I'm staying true to my system that has worked and gotten me to 70% this year. My heart would say take Tennessee because I do think that right now they have the higher ceiling, and I do like their defense. I said it earlier in the year, I think Mason Rudolph gives their offense more potential than Levis did. Maybe Levis will be better long term. I still don't know that. But right now, Mason Rudolph throws the ball downfield. Levis does not. They've got a running game, whatever else, an offensive line. I'm still taking Jacksonville. I'm taking Jacksonville in this game. I'm sticking to my system.
All right. And then we have another, not as shitty game, but another shitty game.
You were on Tennessee, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tennessee. I'm sorry. I'm so used to going first, and I keep going back and forth on it. I'm going to be honest. I may change this on Sunday.
Hey, do what you got to do, dude. I'm not going to sweat you if you change your picks, man. It's all good.
But I'm feeling Tennessee. Like, if I went by your system, I mean, we both have Jacksonville and Tennessee rated at the same spot.
Yeah.
So it
You
would
kind
be,
of default to the home team. That's what I do.
yeah, yeah. I just, I think, and I like Peterson as a coach, but I think Jacksonville needs to fire him for the job he's done this year.
Yeah,
And I think
he
the
doesn't
path
have
to
the
it,
players behind him.
and I think the path to it is losing to the Titans.
Okay. So that's your narrative for taking Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Peterson. I think he's a good coach. He just doesn't have something in Jacksonville is not clicking there.
Sure.
All right. Then we have the Raiders at the Saints. Woohoo.
Yeah, last week we had some like 50-50s. This week we have some like, oh my God, they're just horrible fucking teams playing horrible teams.
We have the 3-12 Raiders at the 5-10 Saints. I'm actually, with Kamara being out, I'm actually going to flip to the Raiders.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
I think if Kamara was playing, I might stick with, I might go with the Saints, but probably actually I did before I saw the Kamara news. So I'm gonna stick with the Raiders.
Okay. Yeah, and that's fine.
Or go to the Raiders.
Yeah, switch to the Raiders. I'm going to stick with the Saints. I have both these teams in that bottom tier, and the Saints are so bad at quarterback, but I also don't know what the Raiders are putting out on offense. And so it's just like you're flipping a coin. And when I'm flipping a coin like that, I'm going with the home team, so I'm going with the Saints.
All right, that brings us. Let me see if I can find it. It's
A little
Carolina.
NFC South action.
Carolina at Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Since week 12, the Buccaneers have turned the ball over 12 times.
So 4 weeks, so 3 a week. Dude, it's nuts. I'm looking at NFL.com.
Holy shit.
Fucking
The
Tampa
line
Bay's the number
is
3 offense, man. How the fuck
line,
is that even possible?
The line is -8.
I'll tell you why. Because Carolina's 31 on offense, 31 on defense. Tampa Bay's 3 on offense, 25 on defense. But I think they can outperform that 25 on defense with coaching. It's just that, they've been decimated by injuries all year. In their last meeting, it was close, 26-23. That can't be right. It says their last meeting was December 1st, 2024. For some reason, I thought it said 2023. I'm like, wait, they had to play this year. You never know divisional games, but I'm taking Tampa Bay. I just, I've got Tampa Bay in my top 15. I have Carolina in my bottom 10 or whatever. So
it's.
I know you're getting high on the Bryce Young stuff, and nothing wrong with that, but I think it's going to be a better story for next year than it is for this year.
I know, and like this is a hard game for me to pick because the only reason Tampa Bay beat Carolina in week 13 was it? Yeah, week 13 was Chuba Hubbard fumbled the ball in overtime.
Okay, well,
Bryce
this
Young
game's
had
in Tampa Bay now.
Bryce Young had a decent game in the first matchup. You can throw on Tampa Bay's defense some reason, somehow. But they just had a heartbreaking loss to Dallas where they kind of were doomed by a Rashad White fumble. Which if that was the play I was thinking of, that was a fucking awesome defensive play. I think it was. I think that was it wasn't Rashad White didn't fumble the ball. Let's be honest. It says it went down as a fumble, but let me double check this because I think it was a pass out to the right where he caught it and the defender just ripped the ball out of his fucking hands.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Like, I want to make sure that's what it was.
Make sure.
Before I'm saying that, but I think, yeah, short pass to the right for 5 yards, and Bland just ripped the ball out of his hands, and that's what kind of doomed them against Dallas. And I mean, you just take a knee after that.
Okay. You're allowed to flip. I'm not going to sweat you, but I'm taking Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay this year they're 8-7, 5-3 away, 3-4 at home.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's good to know, man.
That's just my gut's telling me Carolina on it, so I'm gonna go with Carolina.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. You know, we need to have a little action because it's coming down to the wire, right? So, you know, for you, it's coming down to the wire. You know, like for me, it's like I'm just going to make my picks and I'm going to stick to them because I'm kind of sitting in the catbird seat, right? It's easy for me to just hold the line.
Yeah, make me pick around you.
Hey, what do you want me to do, man? I send you the picks like on fucking Tuesday every week to give you all week to figure it out.
No, I was just fucking with you. All right. So
hey, listen, man. I can't help it. It's worked out this way. Both of us have had a crazy high win percentage compared to past Gridiron Grinder seasons, man.
Then we have the Cowboys at the Eagles, a matchup of backup quarterbacks.
Yeah! Cooper Rush, Central Michigan, fire up! But I'm taking Philly.
So, if Philadelphia loses one more game, they can't get the number 1 seed. They can barely get the number 1 seed as it is. I kind of want the Commanders to win the division.
Well, I for sure want the Commanders to win the division, but, you know, in this game, I'm picking Philly.
I wanted to see something on the. I know you're picking Philly. So if.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing about this game, right? Is so Hurts is going to be out, and it almost doesn't even matter because Philly only has the 31st ranked fucking passing offense anyhow. How it blows my mind, I do not know. But they are number 2 in rushing, 6 overall on offense, and they're 1st overall on defense. And so, you know, even with fucking Kenny Pickett at quarterback, I still think they can beat up Dallas, who's 18th on offense and 26th on defense. I like Cooper Rush a lot. I support all my Central Michigan guys all day long. And I think Cooper Rush has been very steady as a backup quarterback, but he is at best a like top tier backup quarterback. He's not starter capable in this league.
So when I made the pick, I was looking at backup. I knew Hurts was out. I didn't know CeeDee Lamb was out.
Okay.
I think, unfortunately, And I really am rooting for Dallas. I hate rooting for Dallas, but I'm rooting for Dallas in the game. But I think Philadelphia is going to win it.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I had you on Philly anyhow, so we're both on Philly.
My spreadsheet had me on Dallas.
What?
Maybe I changed it and then changed it back.
All right. Either way, we got you on Philly, so we're good now.
All right, then we have the Dolphins at the Browns, which is Dorian DTR.
I like
Mr.
DTR, but we got to see something out of him.
Yeah.
Outside of that one preseason year last year where he was like lighting it up in preseason, we need to see him do something in a regular season game.
Interesting stat line for Tua. In his first 2 seasons with McDaniel, he had the second highest, this is just raw QBR, at 88.4 facing cover one. In this year, he has the third lowest QBR at 26.1 against cover one, which the Browns play cover one apparently at the highest rate in the league. Thank you, ESPN.
Okay. I was just looking at the weather because Tua is horrible in the cold. 0 and
Yeah.
7 when games are 46 or colder, 1 and 8 when it's 50 or colder. But he's getting lucky because it's projected to be 57 in Cleveland on Sunday. That's like crazy hot for this time of year in this area of the country.
I'm going to do a flip, and I'm going to go to Cleveland.
Okay. You expecting like a winter storm to roll in or what, bud?
I don't know.
You just feel it in your jellies.
I just feel it in my jellies. I feel like Tua is going to struggle against the Cleveland defense, and they're going to have to rely heavily on the rush. And I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if they can pivot to rely as heavily on running the ball.
Okay.
And
I'm going to stick to Miami. I don't care if it's raining. It's not going to be freezing cold like normally it would be this time of year in Cleveland. If it was going to be like 10 degrees or 5 degrees in Cleveland, I might say, fuck, I'm going to take them. Although Chubb, he's out for the year now too, right? But
yeah.
either way, I'm sticking with Miami on this game.
So
this next one's a juicy one.
I think there's a chance that it'll be colder. I don't know. I'm just feeling it. I have no rhyme or reason for it. Oh, we get a good game.
Yeah, this might be the most intense game of the week, to be honest.
4:25 window. Wow, there's only 2 games in the 4 o'clock window.
Because we got 3 on Saturday, right?
Yeah, we had 3 on Saturday, and one of the 3 on Saturday would have been in the 4 o'clock window. Also, at least one of those, and all the games are basically mid on Sunday, or Sunday during the day are East Coast almost, like Central Eastern time zone. So those are all going to be naturally at 1 o'clock.
Gotcha.
The Packers at the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I think, now that I'm looking at the NFL.com stats, I think this supports why I like the Packers over the Vikings in my power rankings. Packers are number 4 on offense, number 5 on defense, dude. They're fucking top 5 in both categories, man.
All right. So if
But despite I'm saying that, I'm taking Minnesota because my system has, if they're close, go with the home team. So I'm going with the home team, even though my power rankings have the. See, that's all I'm trying to say. I'm trying to justify why I got the Packers higher in the power rankings. But in this particular game for the picks, I'm taking the Vikings.
in the last 25 seasons, Minnesota has swept the Packers 4 times.
Past performance, future results don't always equal.
I know. And if the Vikings win this game,
I mean,
if the Vikings
I want the Packers to win this game,
if the
but I'm picking
Vikings
the Vikings.
if the Vikings win the game, then that would almost guarantee that the Packers Lions game in Week 18 is the Sunday night game, because that game, either way, that game would be for the number 1 seed. Because the only way for the Eagles to get the number 1 seed was if the Packers beat the Vikings.
Yeah.
So whoever wins the Week 18 matchup would get the number 1 seed and the first round bye. And
It's making you fucking noodle it. Spreadsheets got you on Green Bay. I'm taking Minnesota.
I do. So Green Bay is favored by 1 in the game.
Yeah, it's tight.
And the betting angle doesn't help because Packers have covered the spread 4 straight games, while the Vikings have covered 3 straight. So that's kind of neck and neck.
Sure. So what's your gut telling you, James? Your brain ain't doing it. Go with the gut.
My gut was Green Bay.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna stick with Green Bay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Green Bay.
Lock it in. Lock it in. And you can always text me or email me or messenger me or whatever before the game to change if you want.
Then we have the Falcons at the Commanders. Huge.
I was surprised to see you pick Atlanta in this one. And maybe you're flipping, I don't know, but I just thought that you and I were both high on Washington, man.
I am.
So why did you, and maybe you're flipping back, I don't know. I mean, I'm just, why did you initially go Atlanta? Just to go against me picking Washington?
So I initially went Atlanta.
Or because Penix's second start is going to keep it rolling, or what?
That was more of what I was thinking.
Okay. I would have thought that you would have been with me on this one for sure and been Washington, but you know, I know you're down 10. You got to make some decisions.
Yeah, so I initially it's Penix. Like, it's Penix and it's the Falcons' run game.
Okay. Yeah, Bijan is good if they let him have it. And obviously, Algier is his backup is good too. See, that's another team where I would think, in fact, I want to see this because maybe, I don't know, I've seen some games where Algier's gotten some pretty good carries, but let's just
Yeah.
see.
So where you look for the
Yeah.
Falcons, statistically, Bijan Robinson has the third most yards in the
Oh
league running
shit, he's
out.
got 259 carries. Algiers got 125. See, this is another one where I would have thought these guys would have been closer, but Bijan is such a high first round pick. I understand why they're doing it that way. It's just that shit, man. Fucking, I mean, Algiers at 4.6 yards per carry. He's effective, man. They're both at 4.6 yards a carry on the season.
Yeah, and Bijan has the third most yards in the league running outside the tackles, while Washington has allowed the second most yards per carry running outside the tackle. But then again, and then on the flip side, Washington's the last couple of weeks, the running game hasn't been as good as it's been, and Atlanta's run defense is ninth
Okay.
in the league per carry allowed. And then you go to, but then I look further into it, and you go to Penix. Like, no quarterback in Falcons history has won their first two starts.
Oh, all right.
Um,
I mean that does not predict the future though.
I know.
I mean that is so uncorrelated to the future.
So if the Commanders win or the Bucks lose, then the Commanders make the playoffs. If Atlanta wins and the Bucks lose, Atlanta wins the division.
South.
Yeah. Man. I know. I look at it and like I'm on the fence. Like last week after the Bucks lost to the Cowboys, I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's unfortunate that the Falcons have Washington coming up because that's just going to put them right back in the same situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then again, yeah, I got to go with Washington on it. Like,
All right. No, that's fine. I'm gonna flip you over.
I'm going to go back to my initial gut reaction on it. I think it's a close game.
Yeah. No, I mean even if you flip it, we're still 2, 4, 6, 7 games difference, and then you can always change things by Sunday. You got to remember, you got 2 games or 2 weeks to do this, right? To try and catch me. And so it's almost like, Dan Campbell on third and whatever. You can run it because you're probably going for it on fourth down anyhow, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
like you got to like be smart about what you do here, and that's fine, man. Don't get too aggressive if you can cut it into it now and then cut the rest next week. And I'm not trying to this is not game theory, me trying to phase you. It's just me talking to you mano y mano. So,
No, I know. I just like I go back and forth on this game, and
yeah,
everything I read on it makes me go. I read one thing about it, and
yeah,
I'm
it
like,
gets you
oh,
feeling one way and then something else shifts you the other way. I got you, man.
I think it's a close game, a closer game than somebody probably would instantly think.
Sure.
Even Vegas, like Vegas has at almost at a 4.5 point spread, but and was this game flexed?
I don't even know.
It seems like it was flex.
I don't even know. I don't even know.
Because
But I
like
thought I
week 11
told you.
was flex. Um, mm, yes, it was. Nope,
Okay.
that's 20. Nope, that's 2022 schedule. Yes, it was. Okay. It was originally supposed to be the Dolphins and the Browns. So it was flexed. All right.
Okay.
Then we have the Lions at the 49ers in what, let's be honest, is kind of a meaningless game.
Okay.
Like, but Dan Campbell's been saying all the right things going into this game about how who cares if it's meaningless. Holy shit. Holy. The Lions have lost 14 consecutive road games to the 49ers.
Well, I think this year times are changing.
Holy
You know
shit.
me, I'm taking
This
Detroit.
this game may be meaningless and may not be meaningless.
I don't care. I think Detroit knows that they can't take the foot off the throttle, and they know that they've got injuries, and they got to just be flawless with football against anybody right now.
With a win and a Vikings loss, the Lions can clinch the number 1 seed.
Yep. So they got to go as hard as they can.
In primetime games under Dan Campbell, the Lions are 9-2 outright and 8-3 against the spread.
Okay.
I think the Lions win the game. Whether how meaningful it is will depend on
Sure.
the 4 o'clock game on Sunday, but I think the Lions win the game.
Okay. So yeah, we're both on Detroit to wrap it up, and then for next week, man, I don't know. There aren't. How does it work for Week 18? There's not Thursday night games, are there?
Oh, that's right. There's no Thursday night games. They're all on Sunday. There's
Right.
no
So we
Thursday
don't.
or
Yeah.
Monday
So we
night
don't have
game.
to pick anything now, or should we? No, I
I,
don't think we do. Because like when I went to the schedule, nothing was in the schedule. Like no dates or times were in the schedule.
yeah, so Saturday and Sunday are the potential for the games,
But not
1-4
Thursday.
or
Yeah.
1-5, not Thursday.
Yeah.
And after this week, they will determine which games are on Saturday, which games are on Sunday, and which games on Sunday night.
Okay.
I think it's 2 games on Saturday, and
Yeah,
yeah,
because they got to kind of balance it out before the playoffs. You know, they got to get everybody on the same days.
yeah, and then like so like the Saturday games, like how many games are? Let me see. how many games are on Saturday? But so the Saturday games generally are they start games that have effect on each other. Like if, for instance, like I'll use if the Chargers and the Broncos and the Dolphins and the Colts are all vying for playoff spots still
Yeah.
on week 18, all four of those games will start at the same time.
Okay.
Or like if the Bills and the Chiefs were still vying for the number one spots, like the Bills and the Ravens will probably start at the same time on Sunday, because they don't want the result of one game to affect what happens in the other game.
Sure.
And I don't know how many games are on Saturday versus Sunday.
Oh, my neck just cracked. Felt real good. Ooh.
Two games on Saturday, one at 4:30 and one at 8 Eastern. Then one Sunday night game, and then one, and then the rest on Sunday at either 1 or 4:25. So
Okay.
they even start at the same time. They don't start at the 4:05. They don't have the 4:05 window.
Sure.
So we don't have to pick. It's
Yeah.
all dependent on what happens this week, where the playoffs are seen. Like if Tampa Bay and Atlanta can still win the South, then they'll start those games at the same time.
Yeah, and if somehow I sweep and I'm up 16 games, then I guess we don't have to pick at all.
No, we still have to pick because we want to figure out.
I'm just, yeah, we
and
still
it wouldn't
need
be
to
six. It wouldn't be 16. It'd be 18.
Okay. So if I'm up by 18, then I don't have to pick, but you'll still want to pick just for
Or
pride.
17. Sorry, it would be 17 because we have
Yeah.
seven different. You're currently up by 10.
But the odds of that happening are near zero. I don't know that anybody's ever had a sweep on the difference. Well, maybe because we've had weeks where we only had like one or two off. So
Yeah, I think like the biggest week you've like even on like
well, this past
the
week
last
was pretty big getting 4.
Yeah, you got 4, but you still didn't sweep.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, the only time there's ever a sweep is when we're only like one or two teams off, right? Like we've never had a sweep when we've had like 6 games of different picks.
Yeah, you got most of them, but I still got 2 of them. We had 8 and you got 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the picks. I know you've been thinking about question of the week the entire show, or you came up with something. So let me hear it.
All right. Okay. So, I'm going to give you 2 questions. They're probably 2 very lukewarm questions, but we're going to start with one of them. First one is that James, you can't always believe what you see on the internet, right? And this past week, I saw a Facebook rumor, and I'm calling it a rumor. It's just convenient, the timing of Teddy Bridgewater coming back and like, oh, hey, this, that. Well, I saw a Facebook rumor that J.J. Watt is talking about coming out of retirement to sign with the Lions for a playoff run. And so whether that's true or not, I have no idea. Only time will tell. But the question is, if it is true, do you think that he would really help us at this point? And I ask that because, now I'm starting my answer. And I ask that because um, last year we talked about how it would be great to get J.J. Watt to help Hutchinson on that defensive line. And it didn't happen. And earlier this year, I thought J.J. Watt was getting a bit skinny. You saw him in the suit and the tie and everything, and it looked like, hey, he was, starting to shed some of that playing weight because he's just, he's on TV now, and that's what he's doing with his life. But I'll tell you this, I saw him recently on the Pat McAfee show, and he was looking pretty fucking stacked. And so, whether this is just full rumor or not, I don't know. But the dude looks to me like he is keeping his options open for a playoff team to call him. And so, obviously, as a former CMU player that transferred to Wisconsin, I would love to see him find a way to help the Lions if he still has something left in the tank. But I also do think maybe at this stage of his coming back career, it would be like, hey man, you're coming back as like a rotational guy because our line needs help. You're not coming in as like we're gonna let you play the entire game on defense, or we're gonna expect that. Um, but I think just as a Lions fan, I get a little bit giddy that these kinds of things are even floating out there in the world, right? Because 3, 4 years ago, nobody would ever dream out of even coming out of retirement to help the fucking Lions. And so, whether it's just a rumor or not, I like it. But I think because of the way I saw him, the way he's keeping himself in shape, I think there might be something to this. Because I'll tell you what, 6 months ago, the dude was looking kind of thin to me by J.J. Watt standards. When I saw him just this past like week or so, he looked like he's got his fucking playing weight on him, dude. So I don't know. We'll see. What do you think, my man?
Okay. So this started October 14th.
Oh, so this has been going on a couple months, and I just apparently this week saw it on Facebook.
When Hutch went down, Lions fans started
Oh, maybe that's when he started putting the playing weight back on.
started tweeting at him, and somebody asked him through Twitter, "How many times have you heard this today? Come out of retirement for the Lions?"
Yeah.
He said, haha, once or twice. Lions fan, I see, hear, and appreciate you. Love your squad, love Detroit, and love Hutch. Gutted for him. This morning, I poured a cup of coffee and took a walk by the lake with my wife and son before breakfast. I'm very much enjoying this phase of life.
Oh, okay, okay.
Then, when was this? But on November 6th, he was seen working out in a Chargers facility wearing Chargers jerseys.
Okay. Ooh, wow. Would he make a run with the Chargers, man? Ooh, okay.
Apparently earlier in the season, he said, I'm very fortunate, lucky man, have a beautiful wife, have a beautiful son. I've had 12 great years in this league, and I'm very thankful to have walked away healthy and playing great. I told D'Amico last year, I said, don't call unless you absolutely need it, but if you ever do call, I'll be there.
Yeah, so he wants a playoff team, but yeah, he would want like Houston or some connection that he already has.
Yeah.
So let's just hypothetical. If he came back, do you think he would help us at this point, or is he,
Wait a minute. So I'm not seeing anything. Although earlier, I don't know. I, I, I,
Do you think
I,
he could get some of the J.J. Watt juice back and help us if we were able to get him? Or
I
is
think he
he
could.
or is he past the prime and we've
I
got
think,
better,
I
younger up
think,
and comers?
I think he could.
Okay. Okay.
Apparently,
He looked pretty fucking strong when I saw him on TV, dude.
apparently earlier before the season, his brother TJ was asked whether JJ may return to play football. He said, "You have to ask him about that, but I know that he's staying in shape. We talked again last night. We pretty much, I'm always sending him film. He's always wanting to see film, and he's always trying to correct me and help me become a better pass rusher. So he's definitely still interested. I don't know how real all that conversation is. You'd have to have that with him.
Sure.
All right. If JJ Watt, I think that'd be fucking awesome. I think
Yeah.
I think in certain situations he could.
Well, I think, you're looking at you got Zadarius Smith already helping supplement. Maybe Hutch gets back late playoffs. Hypothetically, if we got to the Super Bowl and JJ Watt is like a rotational guy on that line, I just don't see how it can't help, man. He's a savvy veteran player. He could play inside or outside on the defensive line. We did lose McNeil. I mean, it seems like it's almost like the Bridgewater thing. It's like chicken soup, dude. It can't hurt. It's only going to be good, right?
Yeah, like it can't hurt. Like even that, like just like him in the locker room with those guys would be.
Yeah.
God, don't do that to me.
Well, I mean, I saw it on Facebook, so I'm pondering the question. That's all. So,
All right, don't do that to me.
and I had a bonus question, but I've already disregarded the bonus question because we got some mileage out of this one. So,
So here's the thing.
yeah.
Here's one thing about, oh God, why do you do that to me? Why do you do that to me?
Well, I mean, I don't do it every week, but I guess it's good that every now and then I get you thinking.
So he said multiple times the Texans would be the team to most likely
The team of choice.
team of choice, then Pittsburgh
Okay. Yeah, to play with his brother. Yep.
to play with his brother. Um,
It reminds me a little bit of the what was the safety when the Rams did it? Weddle. He came out of retirement
yeah.
right before. And so sometimes that kind of stuff bothers me, right? I think you need to be on the team for part of the regular season if you want to be on the team for the playoffs. And so, the Watt stuff, as exciting as it is, a part of me would also kind of be like, no, dude, because you didn't help us get there. You're just wanting to like step in and, kind of like jump on the coattails to get the ring. And as much as I love JJ Watt and how much I think, hey, I want the Lions to fucking win it, and I'm, selfishly wanting all that, a part of me too is like, yeah, but, my what is right with my moral compass says, if you were serious about jumping on a bandwagon for a team, you should have done it a few weeks ago.
He said, think about it. Let's use our brains for a second. Obviously, Pittsburgh, because my brother is there. But is there another team that's playing incredibly well right now, who has got a quarterback who is crushing it, who have got a lot of connections? Let's use our brain. Motherfucker. God.
It's intriguing. It's intriguing. Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, a separate thing is, I guess, as I'm thinking about like the Weddle thing and how that worked out, where would I draw the line on when it's okay to like bring one of these guys out of retirement? I think to me, it's almost like if you want to come out of retirement and latch onto a team, you got to do it before the trade deadline. And that's the only way that to me that like the moral compass would be okay. And I know that that's not the rules right now, and so whatever happens happens. But it's like the Weddle thing, dude. I thought it was garbage, and he had a big play early in that game before he got hurt, and it affected the trajectory of that game. And it's a dude that did not play a regular season snap for them at all to help them get there, and that bothered me. And so, I guess that's just my 2 cents on it. But the rules are the rules. He could do it. He could do it, and it could help, or it could maybe not help. I don't know. Time will tell, or time won't tell. You are really digging into this.
Holy shit.
Oh, shit the fucking twat.
He was a Lions fan offered him a $99 million contract to play with the Lions for the remainder of the season. So whenever the paperwork comes in, I'll sign it.
What do you mean, a Lions? He was a Lions fan.
He said, a fan offered me a $99 million contract to play with the Lions for the remainder of the season. My favorite part of Detroit was the people, and I really enjoyed that Coney dog.
Hell yeah. Now I want a Coney. Oh, man. I'm going to have to find someone to go to breakfast tomorrow because I love having a Coney with breakfast, James.
Yeah, Coney with breakfast is fucking great.
Especially if you're a little hungover. It's like, oh my God, a Coney with like a skillet, and then you go home and you just fucking sleep on the couch for a little while until football comes on. Oh, that's like the perfect fucking Sunday. Oh, and if you could add a breakfast beer, oh fuck, oh my God, oh shit. Why do you live in California, James? We could be doing this tomorrow.
We could be, but you fucking still live in Michigan.
Yeah, I guess we could FaceTime. I'll go to my little Coney place. You go to yours.
I don't have one.
Ooh, see, well then I'll mail you some Tony Pacos because that's like the closest thing. It's, Hungarian Conies. They're very good. They're different though.
Okay, you've got me down the rabbit hole on this.
Yeah, you think there's something to it.
I think there's something to it, and I think there might be something to it. I'm just like going through all
Yeah.
this,
I
and
mean, I
one
bet
of
you it's
this,
like the Teddy Bridgewater thing. I bet you they're kicking the tires on anybody and everybody saying, let's see what kind of reinforcements we can get for the playoffs just in case. But
yeah, and
strategically, not like anybody and everybody out there, but like anybody and everybody that would make sense, you know? And I think JJ Watt's a guy that could make sense.
so so one of the things that is killing me that I keep finding is the the fact that JJ Watt mentored Hutch going into the season.
Connections.
Connections. He's didn't he start his college career at Central?
He did, yeah. He started at Central and then he went to Wisconsin, man.
Yeah, because Central wanted to use him as a tight end, not a linebacker or edge guy.
No, I think he was a tight end and Central wanted to make him like a left tackle or something, and he didn't want to do it. He moved to defensive end at Wisconsin.
He said that he was led to believe by Butch Jones that as a tight end he would have the opportunity to score touchdowns. At Central Michigan,
Yeah,
he played 14 games, 77 received. Watts
yeah. And
coaches led.
Brian Kelly told him, "You're not going to be a tight end."
Yeah, you're right. They wanted to make him an offensive tackle.
And it worked out well for him by leaving and becoming a defensive end
Yeah.
slash defensive tackle. Because I know he goes inside outside, but yeah.
And the thing is Campbell, like, so the thing with it is he with the onside kick in the Lions game,
Yeah.
he kind of blasted Campbell for him, but Campbell doesn't have an ego where that would hinder anything.
Mm-mm.
Campbell,
Mm-mm.
so like a lot of other coaches would be like, "Fuck this."
Fuck that guy. I'm writing him off.
Yeah,
Campbell would
but
probably be like, "Ooh, I embrace that friction."
yeah, like Campbell, like
Yeah.
if you have a different opinion than Campbell
Then
does,
punch me in the face, man. Let's talk about
yeah,
it.
and let's talk about it. And he's Campbell doesn't care. You have a different opinion. You have a different opinion. Let's talk about it. I'm open to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you have to ask that question? I hadn't seen.
Well, it's all good, man. It's just, I don't, you don't have to, I don't know. I mean, you do what feels right for you. I mean, I think we already answered the question of the week. You're just fully immersed into it now.
I agree with this. Would rather play phone tag 10 times if necessary than schedule a call on the calendar. Texting is obviously preferred. I'm looking at his Twitter now.
Okay. All right. Well, here, I'm going to push you off the ledge, James, because we're at like 2+ hours on the show. It was a good question of the week for you, Will we get any takers? Probably not, because we've never gotten a taker on Question of the Week, but that's okay. Do you have any closing questions, thoughts, or concerns? You and I can obviously carry on the JJ Watt post show.
I
You're
don't think
totally
so.
fixated. You're totally fixated. Okay, so James, episode 215 in the books. Anybody who's watching, we hope you're subscribed. I mean, if you watch 2 hours and 10 minutes of James and I doing this, you should be subscribed. If you're not, hit the button. It's very easy to do. Just like on the mouse or your trackpad, wherever you go, click on the subscribe spot, and you can give us a thumbs up and a like and all this blah 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 technology. It's like always, man. It's been good. I will catch you later, buddy, and we'll keep talking about it as soon as I hit the stop button.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.